Let's start with today's session, and we are done with the basics of the ECG. So one portion of the ECG we have covered. Now the second section of the ECG related to the ECG is the arrhythmias, and these arrhythmias they are important in every exam, whether it is a all India or central institute. Usually one question is there always on the arrhythmias. Remember, they ask the simple arrhythmias. They do not go into very much details or complicated ones, so they ask very simple arrhythmias. Let's start with how to approach the arrhythmias. Basic number 5, as I have told you that it will be covered under electrolyte imbalance. So basic 5 is basic 5. How electrolytes they are responsible for the action potential of the heart, and how does they affect the ECG. So that we will do under the electrolyte imbalance section. So starting with the approach to arrhythmias. So number 1 is, whenever question come on the arrhythmias, the question can be of two types in your exams. First question will be a clinical case scenario will be given to you, and some vital parameters will be given, and then ECG will be given to you, and then you have to identify what is that type of arrhythmia and what will be the management of that arrhythmia. So such type of question. And a second set of question can be just factual questions on the arrhythmia, ki what are the findings of that particular arrhythmias in the ECG, factual type of questions. So starting with the how to approach a case of arrhythmia. So remember, the essential step in diagnosing any arrhythmia, essential step is your confidence that you can do arrhythmia questions. That is very important, because just by hearing the name of arrhythmia we get into panic that we will not be able to solve those questions and we leave those questions. No, arrhythmias are very simple if you approach systematically. So what is the method to diagnose the arrhythmia? Method to diagnose the arrhythmia is, first we have to classify whether it is a slow heart rate or a fast heart rate. That is the first identification in any arrhythmias. So what you have to do, you have to calculate the heart rate. Now, how to calculate the heart rate? This we have done under the ECG paper basic 2. 1500 divided by RR interval is the heart rate. So that formula we will apply. 1500 divided by RR interval. That is a formula for calculating the heart rate. Now in the exams time is very less, so the method to identify in a fast mode ki whether it is a slow heart rate or a fast heart rate, what you have to do, you have to see the interval between two RR complexes. So in the approach to arrhythmias, if RR interval in millimeters. Very important. Remember, in millimeters. RR interval. If it is more than 25 mm, more than 25 mm, the distance between two R wave of the QRS complex. That means if it is more than 5 big squares, more than 5 big squares. So this will be the more than 25 mm, more than 5 big squares. It will be a diagnosis of. So remember, if the RR interval is more than 25, that means heart rate is less than 60. This means heart rate is less than 60. So you diagnose this as a case of a bradyarrhythmia. It is a bradyarrhythmia. Simple mathematics here. While if the RR interval is less than 15 mm, that means less than 3 big squares. Diagnose this as a case of tachyarrhythmias. So this will be a case of tachyarrhythmia. So this is the first calculation that we will do. Difference between bradycardia and bradyarrhythmia. This is almost the same. Arrhythmia word is more technical word. Now coming to the next step. So this is how whether there is a tachycardia fiddly. The origin of that pathology. So according to the origin, origin. So it is divided into two groups. All right. So our first step was the RR interval. More than 25 is a case of bradyarrhythmia. Less than 15 is a case of tachyarrhythmia. According to the origin, bradyarrhythmia can be classified into the SA node disease. It is divided into the SA node disease. How heart rate is less than 60 if RR interval is more than 25? Just do the mathematics with this formula, heart rate equal to 1500 divided by RR interval. Mathematics. Now, the second origin is AV node. So we call this as AV blocks. What if between 15 to 25? That means heart rate is normal. Heart rate is normal. Heart rate in tachyarrhythmia usually more than 100. Usually more than 100. Now, coming to the tachyarrhythmia origin, according to the origin, it can be classified into two groups: above bundle of his or below bundle of his. Below bundle of his. So it is divided into two groups, the tachyarrhythmias, above bundle of his and below bundle of his. Now, origin is above the bundle of his is known as, it is known as supraventricular. Can arrhythmias occur if heart rate is normal? Yes, it can be a possibility. It can be a possibility also. So this is a, general approach. This is a general approach. Now, tachyarrhythmia is classified into above bundle of his or below bundle of his. Above bundle of his is known as supraventricular origin, supraventricular origin, and below bundle of his is known as ventricular origin. Ventricular origin. So this is the overall classification of the arrhythmias. Now, the major difference between a supraventricular and a ventricular tachycardia is in ventricular tachycardia, QRS is always wide. A very important conclusion, very important conclusion of the ventricular origin. If the pacemaker is below bundle of his, this we have done in the QRS section. If the pacemaker is below the bundle of his, the QRS will be wide, because one ventricle will be depolarized first, followed by the other ventricle. So this is a very important finding in the ventricle origin. Ventricle origin. Now, heart rate in tachyarrhythmia, as I told you, it is more than 100. It is more than 100. Now, come to the, so this is the general approach. This is a flow chart of approach of a case of arrhythmia, Now, coming to the first section, and first section is the bradyarrhythmia. So, bradyarrhythmia, we will start with first the SA node origin disease, and then we will discuss the very important section AV blocks. AV blocks. QRS wide means it has RBBB. One of the cause of the wide QRS is RBBB. If you can recall back your notes earlier, there are many causes of wide QRS complex. Now, coming to the first SA node disease. So, for that, we will make a table of the arrhythmia section. So, come to the table. Why QRS is wide? As I told you, if the origin is below bundle of haze, one ventricle will be depolarized first, followed by the other ventricle. And that diagram we have already discussed in our previous classes. So come to the first one. So we'll make a 3-column table of the bradyarrhythmia. That is a SA node origin. SA node origin. So SA node origin, the number one is sinus bradycardia. Sinus bradycardia. So let's see what is the meaning of the sinus bradycardia. That is the name of the arrhythmia, SA node disease. SA node disease. So description is there is a decrease SA node atomicity. The meaning of the sinus bradycardia, the SA node atomicity is reduced. The normal atomicity or rate of firing of SA node is 60 to 100 per minute. So it is reduced. Maybe because of old age, maybe because of drugs like beta blockers, they decrease the atomicity of the sinus node. But sinus node is still the pacemaker. It is still the pacemaker. So that means SA node is depolarizing atria followed by ventricles. Followed by the ventricles. Followed by the ventricles. So sinus bradycardia, the SA node atomicity is reduced. SA node atomicity is reduced, but SA node is still the pacemaker. SA node is still controlling the atria followed by the ventricles. Followed by the ventricles. So now how does it translate into the ECG? So the first column is the name of the arrhythmia, bradyarrhythmia. Second column is the description of that arrhythmia in minimum words. And third is the diagram and ECG diagnosis. So how does we convert this into the ECG findings? Then we'll look at the ECG. First, we should know what will be the expected ECG finding of this description. So the expected ECG finding of this description will be SA node atomicity is reduced. SA node atomicity is reduced. This will translate as heart rate less than 60. Heart rate less than 60 plus SA node is depolarizing atria followed by the ventricle. So this will translate as each P wave followed by QRS. So I have just translated the description into ECG, into the ECG finding. So we should know what are our expectation from the ECG. Heart rate will be less than 60 because SA node atomicity is reduced, and SA nodes is depolarizing atria followed by ventricle. That means each normal P wave will be followed by a normal QRS complex because atrial depolarization is P wave, ventricle depolarization is QRS complex. QRS complex. Now the come to the diagram. Come to the diagram of this ECG. The diagram of this ECG, you can just draw only two complexes. Only two complexes here. So in this ECG, number one is is heart rate less than 60? We have to diagnose whether it is less than 60. So we have to see the distance between two RR complexes, RR interval. So here is the distance. So if you can look at this distance. So this distance is 30 mm. This distance is 30 mm. So distance of 30 mm means the heart rate is 1500 divided by 30. That is 50. So here heart rate has come out to be, heart rate is 1500 divided by 30 is equal to 50 per minute. Yes, very good. So that means the first finding we have justified. Remember, these are very simple ECG. You should be only knowing the understanding the high yielding point of that diagnosis. So the first will be heart rate will be less than 60, less than 60. So here the heart rate is 50 per minute, 50 per minute. So first diagnosis is heart rate less than 60. Now let's see whether each P wave is followed by QRS complex. So look carefully, the description here. This is the P wave. This is the P wave. So this P wave is followed by QRS complex. Yes. Second P wave followed by QRS complex. Yes. Third P wave is followed by QRS. Fourth P wave is followed by QRS. So each P is followed by QRS. A normal P wave is followed by a normal QRS complex. So this proves our diagnosis. It is a case of sinus bradycardia. Only two findings you need: heart rate less than 60 and each P wave, normal P wave followed by QRS complex. QRS complex. Now, which lead you will focus upon? Remember, for any arrhythmia, focus on either lead 2 or V1. These are the best leads. So for the ECG, you should focus on lead 2 or V1. Indeed, in a majority of the cases, examiner give you a single lead. Give you a single lead. But if 12 leads are given, just focus on lead 2 and V1. Lead 2 and V1. It means that there is no PR segment. There is a PR segment, PR interval is there. So that will be normal. PR interval will be normal here. No problem with the PR interval. Now, coming to the second origin. Why PR segment is absent? PR segment is there. PR segment is there. No doubt about the PR segment. Why V1? Because we have to see the P wave also in the arrhythmia. Besides the QRS complex, we should see the P wave. P wave is best seen in the vertical plane in lead 2 and horizontal plane in V1. That also we have discussed earlier. Now moving on to the second arrhythmia. So first arrhythmia, clear, heart rate less than 60 and each P followed by QRS. It is a case of sinus bradycardia. No other information will be needed to make a diagnosis. And what I will do, I will take this in a box. This finding in a box. This is my diagnosis, sinus bradycardia. Now, the treatment we will do later on. So coming to the number 2. Why this ECG is wavy? Because the patient could be, one possibility could be, patient must have come in Mild hypothermia, patient was shivering, so because of the shivering you can get these baseline fluctuations. Can be a possibility, can be a possibility. Now come to the number two arrhythmia, SA node origin. So number two, is a sinus arrest. So let's see what is the description of the sinus arrest. Sinus arrest means SA node is totally dead. SA node is totally dead. What is the clinical history of this case? Clinical history of this case is a case of bradyarrhythmia. Case of brady arrhythmia will be there, and that could be elderly group. That can be a case of hypothermia, can be athletes, can be beta block hypothyroidism, beta blocker intake. So any cause which leads to the sinus bradycardia. So this will be a case of elderly in the history, athlete, beta blocker, hypothermia, hypothyroidism. So these are some important. These are some important causes or the clinical history. Now come to the sinus arrest. Sinus arrest meaning of the sinus arrest is that there is no SA node activity. There is no SA node activity. Why there is no SA node activity? Because of the SA node is supplied by right coronary artery. So this is because of the right coronary artery block due to MI. Right coronary artery block due to the myocardial infarction. So the SA node will be completely dead. Now when there is no SA node activity, that is a sinus arrest, what will happen? AV node will become the pacemaker. AV node will become the pacemaker, obviously, and this AV node will depolarize, and hence atria and will depolarize simultaneously. Will depolarize simultaneously. So this will be, so there is no dead. SA node is completely dead. So no SA node activity, and AV node will become the pacemaker, and atria and ventricle will get depolarized simultaneously. So a very important finding: when atria and ventricle are depolarizing simultaneously, the larger wave will be seen. Larger wave will be seen. Yes, this is known as the junctional rhythm. This is known as the junctional rhythm. junctional rhythm. So what will happen here? The ECG finding. ECG finding is atria and ventricle are depolarizing simultaneously. They are depolarizing simultaneously. AV node has become the pacemaker. AV node has become the pacemaker. So very, very important finding. P wave will be absent. P wave absent. Plus AV node has become the pacemaker. AV node has become the pacemaker. So that means it will depolarize with its intrinsic rate, and intrinsic rate of the AV node is 40 to 60 per minute. 40 to 60 per minute. So the most important finding in cases of the sinus arrest is absence of P wave. Absence of the P wave, and heart rate will be lying between 40 to 60, which is the intrinsic rate of the AV node, which is the intrinsic rate of the AV node. AV node discharge rate is 40 to 60 per minute. 40 to 60 per minute. So this will be the finding, and the most important finding here, remember, is the absence of P wave. Absence of the P wave. This is a very important finding, and this is the only information that you will need to make a diagnosis of sinus arrest. To make a diagnosis of the sinus arrest. So let's see the ECG. AV node is also supplied by RCA if AV node escape, because there are different branches. So if the branch of the SA node is affected, AV node will become the pacemaker. It will become the pacemaker. Now in this ECG, if we look carefully, again, the heart rate will be around, in this condition, 50 per minute. Heart rate is 50 per minute, and very well you can see that P wave is absent. Here should be the P, but it is absent here. P wave is not seen. P wave is absent here. So this makes a diagnosis of the junctional rhythm, and that junctional rhythm is because of the SA node arrest. PR segment or interval, you can't comment when P wave is absent. So P wave is absent, you can't comment. And remember, QRS is normal in junctional rhythm. QRS is normal. It is not affected in the junctional rhythm. QRS is normal. Now coming to the AV blocks. So come to the AV blocks. These are the two important arrhythmias of SA node origin. As I told you, the PR segment is not seen here because P wave is absent. So you can't comment. Now coming to the next one, that is AV blocks. So AV node origin, that is the second group of the bradyarrhythmia, and this again we will do under the three columns, that is the name of the bradyarrhythmia, the description, and the ECG diagram So let's see. The first one is first there are three types of AV block: first degree, second degree, and third degree blocks. So what is the sick sinus syndrome? If SA node disease is there with symptoms, this is known as the sick sinus syndrome. What is the treatment of these sinus node origin? Let's see before going to the AV blocks. Treatment of SA node diseases. SA node diseases treatment. So treatment is dependent on the symptoms. If patient symptomatic, now why the patient will become symptomatic in cases of SA node disease? Because of due to low cardiac output. Patient will complain of syncopal attacks. Patient will complain of dizziness. So this is known as sick sinus syndrome. So that means symptomatic disease of SA node is known as sick sinus syndrome. So what you have to do in that condition, the treatment of these patient will be, we will go for placing the artificial pacemaker. So the treatment is artificial pacemaker. Artificial pacemaker. Now, if a patient is asymptomatic, patient has tolerated the arrhythmia, this sinus node disease very well, there are no symptoms, no treatment should be done, just keep the patient under observation. So it will be observation only. Observation. So this is the treatment protocol. This is the treatment protocol for a case of SA node disease. That means if a patient is symptomatic due to low cardiac output will be low because heart rate is slow down. What is cardiac output? Cardiac output is heart rate into stroke volume. So overall cardiac output will be low. Patient will complain of syncopal attacks and dizziness. This is known as sick sinus syndrome. Symptomatic SA node disease is known as the sick sinus syndrome, and in that case we will go for a artificial pacemaker. While if patient is asymptomatic, we will keep the patient under observation. When is the Holter required? When Holter is required when patient complained of symptom but the ECG is normal, because we do ECG, spot ECG. So we put the patient on a 24-hour ECG machine, Holter, and then we'll study that rhythm. During night time, if there are or other time there are the SA node disease, then we will go for a pacemaker. Now coming to if patient on beta blocker causing the disease, he is asymptomatic, should we withdraw the beta blocker? Remember pharmacology, beta blocker should be withdrawn if heart rate is less than 50. That is the indication to withdraw the beta blockers, because anytime patient can become symptomatic. So below 50 we do not give the beta blockers. Now, coming to the so this was the treatment of the SA node disease. Now come to the AV blocks, a very important section, very important section. All right. So coming to the AV block, the description of the AV block. Come to the first degree AV block. So understand first the meaning, that is the description of these arrhythmia. Then translate into expected ECG finding. Then look at the ECG. Then look at the ECG. So in this case, first degree AV block, the most important word here is first degree AV block, that there is a slow conduction from atria to ventricles. There is a slow conduction from atria to ventricles. So but all atrial impulses are conducted to ventricles. So there is a slow conduction from atria to ventricle in the AV node, but all the atrial impulses are conducted to ventricles. This is the description. This is the description of first degree AV block. What is the lead to focus on for sinus arrest? As I told you, lead 2 or V1. These are the two leads. For any arrhythmia, focus on these two leads. Now, the slow conduction from atria to ventricles. So let's see how it is translate into the ECG finding. So slow conduction from atria to ventricle will translate as PR interval will prolong. This is the translation. Slow conduction from atria to ventricle, PR interval is prolonged. And the value of PR interval prolongation was 5 mm, more than 5 mm prolongation. And let's see, how does this second statement translate into the ECG? All atrial impulses are conducted to the ventricles. So the second statement convert into the ECG findings. That means each P followed by QRS. Each P followed by QRS. Only this information. No additional information you will be needing. Just PR interval will be prolonged, and second is each P will be followed by QRS. So here let's see whether each P is followed by QRS. So look at the diagram of the ECG carefully. So PR interval is prolonged and each P wave is followed by QRS complex. So here is the P wave. Visualize these diagrams. Visualize these diagrams. P wave. P wave. So after each P wave, you can see there is a QRS complex. After each P wave, there is a QRS complex. So the first criteria is justified. Each P followed by QRS, because all the atrial impulses are going to the ventricles, but they are going slowly through AV node. So PR interval is prolonged. So if you look at the PR interval here, so this is the PR interval. This is the PR interval. So very well you can see in this diagram the PR interval is more than 5 mm. There is no need to calculate it very accurately. If it is more than 5 mm, if it is more than 1 week square, it is a case of prolongation of PR interval, prolongation of the PR interval. So that means the diagnosis of first degree AV block is completed. PR interval is prolonged. Each P is followed by the QRS complex. So this is the only information needed. This is the only information which is needed. PR interval prolongation and each P followed by QRS complex. This is a case of a first degree AV block. First degree AV block. Now, this first degree AV block, what will be the clinical history? The clinical history will be the causes which we have discussed in cases of PR interval prolongation, like electrolyte imbalance, drugs, myocarditis, rheumatic fever. These will be the history for first degree AV block. So focus on the history first, followed by your differential diagnosis and then the ECG diagnosis. ECG diagnosis. What level it is prolonged? Here in this case, it is I think 8 millimeters. 8 millimeters is the distance or the duration of the PR interval. PR interval. Now, difference between sinus bradycardia and first degree AV block, very simple. Difference between sinus bradycardia and first degree AV block is, in first degree AV block PR interval is prolonged. In sinus bradycardia, PR interval is normal. PR interval is normal because PR interval is determined by AV node. So in the first degree AV block, you will focus upon the drugs. We have already done earlier. Dyselectrolemias, rheumatic fever, rheumatic fever. Now, what is the treatment of first degree AV block? So if we'll see the treatment simultaneously, remember in first degree AV block, mainly treatment is treat the underlying cause. Treat the underlying cause. Patient will complain or it is detected on a routine ECG. Both ways. Patient can come with the symptoms of syncopal and all those things, or patient can be asymptomatic also. Patient will be asymptomatic also, and when you take the history, there will be history of drug intake, there will be history of digoxin or beta blocker or CCBs. So both symptomatic, asymptomatic. Now the treatment of first degree AV block is treatment. First degree AV block is treat the underlying cause. Treat the underlying cause, like electrolyte imbalance, correct that. Drug intake, withdraw that drug. That will be the treatment of underlying disorder. Underlying disorder. Heart rate is normal in this ECG. Heart rate in this ECG can be normal also, So how can we diagnose that it is a case of the first degree AV block? By PR interval prolongation. Heart rate can be normal or can be prolonged. Now come to the second degree AV block. So, second degree AV block. Understand carefully. This is one of the most frequently asked question in your exams of AV block. So, this is frequently asked question. Frequently asked question. So, of second degree AV block. Yes, QRS complex in first degree AV block will be normal. There will be no effect on the QRS complex. Remember, how the QRS complex will be affected if the pacemaker of the ventricle is below bundle of His. Pacemaker is below bundle of His. Now, come to the second degree AV block. So, the second degree AV block is, the most important point is intermittent. Failure of conduction. From atria to ventricles. That is the meaning of a second degree AV block. Intermittent failure of the conduction from atria to ventricles. Intermittent. Like some atrial impulses can conduct to the ventricle and some atrial impulse may not conduct to the ventricle. This is a meaning of intermittent failure of conduction from atria to ventricle. But ventricle always depolarize from that atrial impulse. So ventricle is dependent on atria for its depolarization. So ventricle will always take the impulse from the atria. If impulse from the atria is not coming, it will not depolarize on its own. It will not generate its own pacemaker. So it is dependent on the atrial impulse. So there is intermittent failure of conduction from atria to the ventricles, and ventricle will always take the impulse from the atria for its depolarization. So how does that translate into the ECG? So it will translate into the ECG as, so the finding here will be the most important finding. Intermittent failure of conduction from atria to ventricle. This means each P will not be followed by QRS. So each P will not be followed by QRS. P wave followed by QRS, P wave may not be followed by QRS. This is a very, very important finding here in a second degree AV block. Intermittent failure of conduction from atria to ventricles. So each P will not be followed by QRS. While ventricle will always take the impulse from the atria for its depolarization. That means each QRS preceded by P wave. Each QRS, whenever QRS is coming, it is preceded by a P wave. It is preceded by the P wave. Each QRS is with P wave prior to it. That is a normal. That is normal or in the above type of blocks. But in second degree AV block, that is a pathology. That is a pathology. That each P will not be followed by QRS, but whenever QRS is coming, it will be preceded by P wave. Whenever QRS is coming, QRS is coming. Intermittent failure. If there is a intermittent failure, then how ventricle is taking the impulse? During that cycle, ventricle will not be taking the impulse. During that cycle, when the atrial impulse is not able to conduct to the ventricles. So this is the theory of the second degree AV block. Now a very, very important, second degree AV block is of two types. So there are two types of second degree AV blocks. Types. It is MOBIS 1 and MOBIS 2. MOBIS 2. So second degree block is of two types, MOBIS 1 and MOBIS 2. So what happens to the PR interval, that we will see when we'll see the diagrams of these second degree AV block. So you have to understand the key findings. Intermittent failure of conduction from atria to ventricle, each P will not be followed by QRS. But whenever QRS is coming, it is preceded by P wave, because ventricle is dependent on the atria for its depolarization. So which lead to C for the AV block? As I have told you earlier, lead 2 is the best. So now coming to the MOBIS 1. So there are two types of second degree AV block, MOBIS 1 and MOBIS 2. Yes, there will be chances of absent QRS in between. So coming to the, what are these type 1 and type 2 MOBIS block. So we will discuss this with the help of a diagram. So come to MOBIS 1. So this you can describe in after leaving 2 pages, a separate page you can describe MOBIS 1. Do not look at the diagram first. First try to understand, make a grip on the basic concept, basic mechanisms of this arrhythmias. MOBIS type 1 block. And the cause of MOBIS 1 block is, the cause is usually digoxin. Cause is digoxin. Now coming to MOBIS type 1 block. So first understand the diagram very, very carefully. SA node is absolutely normal. SA node, there is no problem. So SA node is normal. SA node is normal. So history of second degree AV block, if it is MOBIS 1, history of digoxin intake can be there. Digoxin intake. SA node is totally normal. It is depolarizing with its normal rate of 60 to 100 per minute. 60 to 100 per minute will be the rate. Now here is atria. Here is AV node. SA node totally normal. Rate is 60 to 100 per minute. AV node is diseased. AV block occur because of the digoxin, and below is the ventricles. Below is the ventricles. So let's see, and simultaneously we will draw the ECG and then see the ECG diagram. Actual ECG we will see after making the diagram. So we will take four cycles. Four cycle we will take here. So the first cycle here is number 1. SA node has sent the impulse to the atria. Atria will depolarize, P wave will be seen. So simultaneously I will make the diagram here. If SA node is normal, why it is being studied under bradyarrhythmia? Because the cause of slow heart rate can be AV node also. Even if SA node is normal, because of AV node block, heart rate can also slow down. Heart rate can also slow down. So look at the diagram from the SA node. The impulse goes to the atria depolarize, and we will get a P wave. We will get a P wave. Atrial depolarization is P wave. Now, this atrial impulse will enter the AV node, number 1, but it will travel the AV node slowly. It will travel the AV node slowly. So there will be just for representation 1, 2, 3. Three broken lines I have made, but this impulse will exit the AV node. Will exit the AV node, and when the impulse exit the AV node, ventricle will be depolarized. Ventricle will be depolarized. So what happens in this case? Atrial impulse goes to the AV node, and it will travel the AV node slowly. It will travel the AV node slowly. So the PR interval will be prolonged. So here is 1, 2, 3. So I have just made the PR interval prolongation. PR interval prolongation, because this atrial impulse will take more time in the AV node, but it will exit the AV node, and ventricles will get depolarized. Ventricle will get depolarized. Now the number 2 impulse will come. Look at the number 2 impulse. Number 2. So the number 2 impulse in the AV node, it will enter the AV node, number 2 cardiac cycle. But second impulse, the number 2 impulse will conduct slower than 1. Reason, as 1 has made AV node relatively refractory for conduction of 2. So that means the first impulse travel or conduct the AV node so slowly that it has made it relatively refractory for the subsequent impulse, and subsequent impulse means number 2 impulse. So the number 2 will conduct slower than the 1 in AV node, because 1 has made the AV node relatively refractory for conduction of 2. So there will be relatively refractory for 2. So what will happen? The number 2 will conduct slower than 1. So this is the representation. Here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it will exit the AV node. And when it exits the AV node, ventricle will be depolarized. So I will make here 5 broken lines. So this is the status of number second impulse. It will conduct the slower than the 1, because 1 has made the AV node refractory for 2, relatively refractory for 2. Now what will happen for number third P wave? Number third will come now. What will happen? Number 2 has taken such a long time in AV node. Number 2 has taken such a long time in the AV node that it has made the AV node absolutely refractory for third conduction. So the third impulse will not go to the ventricles. So here what will happen? Number third P wave, will not conduct AV node. It will not conduct AV node. What does relative refractory means? Relative refractory means the impulse will conduct but very slowly, very slowly. So it will not conduct the AV node, reason being as second has made AV node absolute refractory for 3. Absolute refractory for the 3. So there will be no QRS complex after this P wave. There is no QRS complex. So there will not be any ventricular depolarization after number third P wave. Now what will happen? Come to the fourth cycle. So we come to the fourth cycle. So by the time fourth impulse come into the AV node will recover from its absolute refractory period. From its absolute refractory period. So fourth will conduct same as one. So the cycle will repeat after the fourth P wave. For reason for refractoriness, reason for the refractoriness is digoxin. Digoxin causes the AV block. Digoxin causes the AV block. So this is, now I will come to the theory part of this MOBIS 1 block. So you can very well see, if we can summarize this MOBIS 1 block, there is progressive prolongation of PR interval. So read this, understand this statement carefully. There is a progressive prolongation of PR interval with each subsequent cycle, till one atrial impulse fails to conduct to ventricles. This is the description. This is the theory description of MOBIS type 1 block. Progressive prolongation of PR interval. Very nice. This is known as the Wenckebach phenomena. Very good. So this is known as the phenomena, that is a Wenckebach phenomena. Wenckebach phenomena. So this is a MOBIS type 1 block. MOBIS type 1 block. So now any reason from recovery from refractoriness? Because of a gap from third to the fourth one, there the AV node will become recovered between third and fourth. Why don't we see atrial repolarization in 3? Yes, we can see, but atrial repolarization is such a small event that it is hardly seen on the ECG. Hardly seen. Atrial repolarization, very small event. For third cycle, where there is no T wave, remember, when there is no ventricle depolarization, repolarization can't happen automatically. So when there is no QRS, no T wave will be there. No T wave will be there. So now coming to the true false on this aspect. So true false on the MOBIS 1 block, and it is satisfying our criteria for a second degree AV block. So true false. Why only after 3 cycles? This is I have taken the example. It can be 4 cycles, it will get dropped. It can be 3 cycle, it can drop. So this is just I have taken a example after a example. Now, question number one. Question number one is true, false. Each P wave is not followed by QRS. MOBIS 1 block. Is it true or false? T or F? Each P wave is not followed by QRS. T or F? It is true. Yes, it is true. So each P is not followed by QRS. The number third P wave is not followed by QRS. Now listen to the second question carefully. True. Very fine. Good. Now, second question. Whenever QRS is coming, it is preceded by P wave. True or false? Whenever QRS is coming, is it preceded by P wave? Each QRS preceded by P wave? Yes, you can see whenever QRS is coming, it is preceded by the P wave. It is preceded by the P wave. True. Now, number third question. True. Number third, heart rate in MOBIS 1 is regular. True or false? Heart rate in MOBIS 1 is regular heart rate. Is it true or false? No, it is false. Because heart rate is irregular, reason being PR interval is variable. So heart rate is irregular. So in MOBIS 1. Okay. Now the treatment for MOBIS 1 is only treatment. Withdraw digoxin. That is a treatment for the MOBIS type 1 block if it is because of the digoxin. All right, so here we will take 2 minutes of break for the streaming purpose, and in the break my advice to you is read the basic of the ECG basic 3 where the depolarization and repolarization were drawn. The normal repolarization, abnormal depolarization, and abnormal repolarization. This is my advice to you. In 2 minutes break, just go through that topic, basic 3, last two diagrams. So we'll take a break here of 2 minutes break. So now everyone settle down. So coming to the MOBIS type 2 block. MOBIS type 2 block is characterized by there is a sudden drop in the impulse from atria to ventricle. So the most important point here is the PR interval is fixed. Other causes of MOBIS type 1 block, sometimes it can be seen because of athletic training also. So there is a fixed PR interval. Unlike MOBIS one, PR interval is not variable, it is fixed. So what exactly happens in the type 1 MOBIS block? The cause of type 1 MOBIS block is usually the AV node ischemia. MOBIS type 2 block is AV node ischemia that alter the property of the AV node conduction. AV node conduction is altered. So let's see what will happen in type 2 block, and this is also I am taking the example of MOBIS type 2 block. So here SA node is absolutely okay. SA node is normal, absolutely normal. So here is AV node. So SA node is normal, and here is the AV node. हेलो, हाँ स्टार्ट कर दी। हम्म 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 All right. So MOBIS type 2 block, there is a sudden drop of atrial impulse which is going to the ventricle. Suddenly it drops, and there is a fixed PR interval. There is a fixed PR interval. That is a most important differentiating point from type 1 MOBIS block. Type 1 MOBIS block. So here is AV node. Now, the number one impulse above is the atria. So, SA node will depolarize the atria. So, we will get to see a P wave. Number one P wave. Correlate with the diagram. Will correlate with the diagram. So, there is number one atrial impulse. It will enter the AV node. Look at the diagram. And will go to the ventricles. Will go to the ventricles. So SA node impulse will depolarize the atria first, and that impulse will travel the AV node, and there will be QRS complex. Now the second impulse, number two impulse, it will not be able to conduct in the AV node suddenly. There is a sudden drop of number two impulse. So number two P wave will come. But it is not followed by QRS. It is not followed by the QRS. This I am taking just the example of MOBIS type 2. Now the third impulse will depolarize the atria. Third impulse will depolarize the atria, and that will be conducted through AV node into the ventricles. So number third, P wave. Will be followed by QRS complex. Will be followed by the QRS complex. Now, number fourth. Number four. That is, this number 4 is suddenly blocked in the AV node. So first will be transmitted to ventricle, second will not be transmitted, third will be transmitted, and fourth get blocked. So after the fourth P wave, there is no QRS complex. No QRS complex. So this is Mobis type 2 block. Mobis type 2 block. Here very important point is the PR interval. This is the PR interval. This is the PR interval. Is fixed for each cycle. Whenever PR interval is there, it is same. It does not vary. It does not vary. So this is the type of Mobis type 2 block. Mobis type 2 block. And the cause of this is the ischemia. Cause of this is the ischemia. Now the treatment of Mobis type 2 is obviously it is treat the ischemia simultaneously as well as artificial pacemaker. Treatment of Mobis type 2 is artificial pacemaker because here the heart rate is very slow. Heart rate is very slow, so therefore we have to go for a artificial pacemaker as well as treat the underlying ischemia disease. Treat the ischemia disease. Rhythm here is can be regular, can be irregular. Regular or irregular, it does not matter. Most important is PR interval is fixed here. PR interval is fixed here. Now, so this is a Mobis type 2 block. Mobis type 2 block. Now coming to, so why alternate impulse is blocked? This is just I have given you the example. Maybe after 3 P waves 1 QRS is coming, or maybe after 2 P waves 1 QRS will be coming. 1 QRS will be coming. So on this diagram, let's see how can we understand this ECG. How can we understand this ECG based on the findings? So number one question, listen to the question carefully. Listen to the question very carefully. Yes, PR interval can be prolonged. Can be prolonged. Now, question number one. Each P wave is followed by QRS. True or false? Mobis type 2. True or false questions. These are usually the Central Institute exam questions. Each P wave followed by QRS complex in Mobis type 2. True or false? It is false. Yes, it is false. Each P is not followed by QRS. False. Very good. Now question number 2. My question number 2 is whenever QRS is coming, each QRS preceded by P wave. True, false? Each QRS, whenever QRS is coming, is preceded by P wave. True or false? Each QRS preceded by P wave. Whenever QRS is coming preceded by P wave, it is a true statement. Very good. It is a true statement. Fine. Now come to the exact diagram. Exact diagram of MOBIS 1 and MOBIS 2 with some common finding and uncommon finding. So come to that table once again. So I will come to the table once again. Now visualize this ECG. These are the typical ECG given to you in your exams, and it is usually lead to. It is usually lead to. Now come to the first ECG. Come to the first ECG, and these are second degree AV block. So the criteria of second degree AV block is, there are two important criteria. First criteria is each P not followed by QRS. Plus each QRS preceded by P. Look at the diagram. Look at the diagram. Each P not followed by QRS, but whenever QRS is coming, it is preceded by a P wave. It is preceded by a P wave. For example, this is a P wave. You can see this is followed by QRS complex. Second P wave, yes, it is followed by QRS complex. Third P wave, yes, while fourth P wave is not followed by QRS. After the fourth P wave in this example, so this classify it as only second degree AV block, only second degree AV block. Now we have to see whether PR interval is fixed or progressive prolongation. So very importantly, you see the PR interval here. It is here almost 5 millimeters. Almost prolonged, almost prolonged. Then the second PR interval, if you can see carefully, (7 mm), and the third one almost 10 mm. Almost 10 mm. Yes, it is a progressive prolongation. It is a progressive prolongation of the PR interval. So that means a variable PR interval. Diagnosis without any second thought will be MOBIS type 1. MOBIS type 1. So this is how you should study the ECG of second degree AV block. First see each P followed by QRS. So here each P is not followed by QRS, but whenever QRS is coming, it is preceded by the P wave. It is preceded by the P wave, and the PR interval here is variable. You can see it is progressively prolongation. Progressive prolongation. Now in the second one, this is a P wave. P wave, P wave. So In this condition, the second P wave is not followed by QRS complex in this example. So each P not followed by QRS, but each QRS preceded by P, preceded by the P wave. So this is a common finding between MOBIS 1 and MOBIS 2. Let's see PR interval. So here is the PR interval. So the PR interval here is fixed. And this make the diagnosis of MOBIS type 2. MOBIS type 2. So that means to differentiate between MOBIS 1 and MOBIS 2, the most important point is a PR interval, is the PR interval. ST elevation present in this diagram, no, not. ST elevation is not present. Now come to the last bradyarrhythmia, and that is a third degree AV block. So there is a third degree AV block. So first understand the theory of third degree AV block. So first understand the theory of the third degree AV block. So how to calculate the heart rate? We have done earlier when heart rate is irregular, how to calculate the heart rate. So either 6 second or 3 second will take and multiply it by 10 or 20 respectively. So the third degree AV block is there is a complete failure of conduction from atria to ventricles. There is a complete failure of conduction from atria to ventricles. No atrial impulse is going to the ventricle. No atrial impulse. SA node is normal. SA node is normally depolarizing the atria. Normally depolarizing the atria. But no impulse is going to the ventricle. As a result, ventricle will start depolarizing from its own pacemaker. So no atrial SA node is normal, but that atrial impulse is not conducting through the AV node. No impulse is going to the AV node, conducting through the AV node. So what will happen? Ventricle will start depolarizing from its own pacemaker. Will start depolarizing from its own pacemaker. So what will be that pacemaker of the ventricle where it will take the impulse from? That pacemaker can be the Purkinje fibers. Yes, ectopics. Ventricle muscles. Ventricle muscles. Remember, this is a third degree AV block. Now come to the third degree AV block. So ventricle will start depolarizing from its own pacemaker, and that own pacemaker is from the Purkinje fiber and or the ventricle muscle, and this pacemaker is independent pacemaker, its own independent pacemaker. Independent pacemaker. So this will be the consequence. This will be the consequence. So here, as I told you, कि just revise that basic number 3, last two diagrams of basic number 3 will be utilized here. Everything is correlated, everything is correlated. So number one thing is the for the ventricles, remember this pacemaker is below bundle of his. It is below the bundle of his. Hence, because if it is below the bundle of his, it will originate either from right ventricle or left ventricle side. Hence, QRS will be wide. Very important point. QRS will be wide here. Second important point, if you can recall back, if abnormal depolarization of ventricle is taking place, QRS and T will be so make the concepts very clear. If the pacemaker is below the bundle of his, QRS will be wide because one ventricle will be depolarized followed by the other ventricle, and if there is a abnormal, this is a abnormal depolarization of the ventricle. So if there is a abnormal depolarization of the ventricle, QRS and T will be in opposite direction. That also basic we have done earlier. Opposite direction. Very good. And if you can see the diagram, the earlier diagram, basic number 3, abnormal depolarization, if it is starting from the epicardial surface, you have drawn the QRS negative and T wave was positive. If you can recall back, if you can correlate that finding. So with this understanding of the theory, yes, very good. With this understanding of the theory, remember that the finding here will be in a third degree AV block. The findings, most important is QRS wide, and very importantly, QRS is independent of P. Heart rate will be 30 to 40. It is the rate of Purkinje fiber depolarization. It is the heart rate which is the 30 to 40, which lead to you should focus upon. Now coming to so the description of the ECG, that both atria and ventricle are depolarizing independent of each other. QRS is independent of P wave. Now it is not dependent on atrial impulse because it is generating its own pacemaker. So the P wave will be coming differently. QRS will be coming differently. QRS will be wide. QRS is independent of P because QRS ventricle is generating its own independent pacemaker. If you can see here, independent pacemaker, AV block, complete AV block is there. Both AV node and bundle of his are damaged. AV node, bundle of hairs are totally damaged. So in this ECG, if you can see and visualize the changes. So in this ECG, you can most importantly look at the QRS complex. This is the QRS complex. It is wide. It is a wide QRS complex which is coming here, and T wave is positive. T wave is positive, and you can see the P wave is here. P wave. So QRS is wide and QRS is independent of the P wave, independent of the P wave. And sometime a P wave can be hidden under the QRS or T wave also. Sometime it can also happen. Sometime it can also happen. Yes, atrial rate and ventricle rate will be different. Very good point. Atrial rate and ventricle rate will be different. And what determine the heart rate? Ventricle depolarization determine the heart rate. Ventricle depolarization determine the heart rate. PR interval is prolonged. Here we can't comment on the PR interval because there is no relation between the QRS and the P wave. Between the QRS and the P wave. So the cause of this third degree AV block is infarction of AV node plus bundle of his. Treatment is artificial pacemaker. Lead to it will be there. QRS is negative. Yes, this is just an example. If it is from the epicardial side, and hopefully you have made the diagram in the basic number 3. Basic number 3. So visualize this. QRS is wide. That will be a very important shortcut for you. So the cause of the third degree AV block, the cause is infarction of AV node plus bundle of his. Treatment is artificial pacemaker. Treatment is artificial pacemaker. How QRS is independent of P? Because of third degree AV block, the pacemaker for the ventricle is different, and pacemaker for the atria is SA node. The clinical feature will be of syncope and the dizziness. Now coming to, so these are the 5 bradyarrhythmia that you have seen. These are the 5 bradyarrhythmia. Now I will give you a flow chart of diagnosis, of the diagnosis of the bradyarrhythmia in summary. Only 3 steps to diagnose a case of bradyarrhythmia. So come to the summary. Focus on lead 2 or V1. Focus on the lead 2 and V1. Now yes, there can be a little bit of ST elevation, could be the infarction portion also, also. QRS independent of P means that there is no relation between P and QRS. QRS is not dependent on the P. It is not preceded by the P wave. It is not preceded by the P wave. This is known as, very good, AV dissociation. AV dissociation. Now, coming to the three simple steps to diagnose the bradyarrhythmia, very simple steps, and these simple steps you revise 2 or 3 times, and you will be able to diagnose any bradyarrhythmia given to you in the exams. So first, what you have to do, while writing it down, you also think and understand from the above table of bradyarrhythmia. So the number one step is to diagnose the bradyarrhythmia. You look at the QRS complex. First step. So number one step, focus on lead 2 and or V1. Focus on lead 2 or V1. Look at the QRS complex, and in the QRS complex you look at the width, and if QRS complex is wide, that is more than equal to 3 mm. This is so simple steps that in 10 seconds you can make the diagnosis of the bradyarrhythmia. So first step is QRS complex, and if QRS complex is wide, do not look anything. Do not waste your time in the exams. Just see the QRS complex, and if it is wide, make a diagnosis of bradyarrhythmia that it is third degree AV block. So only one point you make a diagnosis, it is a third degree AV block. Do not go into the other aspects or fine details of the third degree. No one will ask you. So tick third degree AV block. While if QRS complex is normal width, it is normal width. Come to the second step, and second step will be P wave. So look at the P wave. If QRS complex is normal width, QRS complex is normal width. Yes, very good. Interval between T and P wave decreases in Mobis type 1. Yes, it decreases. Now, P wave is absent. So, QRS is normal, P wave is absent, P wave is not seen. So, this will make a diagnosis of, do not look anything else. Only with these two findings, QRS normal width, P wave absent, I will make a diagnosis of absent P wave. It is a case of sinus arrest. Leading to junction rhythm. Leading to the junction rhythm. Now, come to P wave present. Last step, only 3 steps. So, in the last step, you look at or assess each P followed by QRS, if your answer is no, diagnosis, second degree AV block. Second degree AV block. Each P is not followed by QRS complex. That will make a diagnosis. While if your answer is yes, each P is followed by QRS, then the diagnosis can be two diagnoses. First, it can be a sinus bradycardia, or first degree AV block. Sinus bradycardia, PR interval normal. First degree AV block, PR interval prolonged. PR interval prolonged. So follow these simple three basic steps, but how to know these steps? You should have a proper understanding of mechanisms of the bradyarrhythmias. Mechanisms of the bradyarrhythmias. Revise it two or three times. Revise it two or three times, and you can easily make a diagnosis. Such simple questions come in your exams. No atypical cases will be given to you, no complicated arrhythmias will be given to you, but before that you should develop a confidence in your mind that you can solve arrhythmia questions. So with this we finish with the class for today. Revise these notes, and tomorrow we will do the tachyarrhythmia section. All right, so we'll finish here.